There have been about 6,000 shipwrecks on the Great Lakes since commercial shipping began there, and many more caused by the weather. Historically, November has a reputation for some of the most intense storms, and the term November gale is part of the language of folks who live and work around the lakes. During the month of November, cold Canadian air moves south with more intensity and frequency with winter approaching. But at the same time, high pressure sometimes sets up over the southeast, sending a mild Indian summer type flow northward. And with the jet stream now dipping regularly into the Midwest, lows sometimes track from the high plains into the lakes, and a few of those have been historic. There was one during this week in 1998 that produced 20-foot waves on Lakes Michigan and Superior and set all-time low-pressure records as it passed through the states of Iowa and Minnesota. I actually used that storm for an assignment in my synoptic meteorology class here at Penn State. Another November gale took a similar track during this week in 1975, and its waves and winds sunk the freighter Edmund Fitzgerald on Lake Superior, a tragedy memorialized in a song by Gordon Lightfoot, a tribute to the 29 men who went down with the ship. His haunting lyrics, "Superior, they said, never gives up her dead. When the gales of November come early," capture how dangerous the lakes can be this time of year. The Edmund Fitzgerald was a sturdy, 700-foot-long, 75-foot wide freighter that was the largest ship on the lakes from 1958 to 1971. The boat left the western tip of Lake Superior the afternoon of November 9th, 1975, loaded with 26,000 tons of iron ore. Now, with the storm approaching from the southwest, winds on the lake were from the northeast, so the ship stayed on the northern side of the lake because the biggest seas from a northeast wind would be on the south side. By sunrise the next day, the center of the low was on the UP of Michigan, and the ship was reporting 40-mile-per-hour winds. The ship and the still intensifying storm crossed paths that afternoon, and winds shifted to northwest behind the storm. So the Edmund Fitzgerald, which was now in southeastern Lake Superior, was exposed to larger waves because the wind now had more water to cross before reaching the ship. Within hours, the Fitzgerald was listing, and the captain reported the worst seas he'd ever encountered. Around 7 that evening, the ship sank in hurricane-force gusts and waves up to 25 feet, only about 20 miles from land. A recent paper in the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society re-examined the weather conditions associated with the storm that sank the Fitzgerald. Their detailed computer simulations suggesting that the ship was caught in the most severe part of a storm that comes along only once every 10 to 20 years. The power of these Great Lakes storms played a role in shaping American weather history. The great loss of sailors and ships on the lakes due to the weather helped convince Congress and President Grant to create in 1870 the forerunner to what is today the National Weather Service. Fred is back with the extended forecast next.